What's up, everyone? I'm passionate about talking about the retirement crisis that's coming. We are facing at multiple levels: Social Security, 401k, millennials being saddled with an enormous amount of debt and well into their retirement. So Don Smith was kind enough to have me on his radio show to talk all about the retirement crisis. This is a little behind the scenes of that interview where we dive deep into the retirement crisis, Social Security. We also talk about how to pay off your mortgage in 5 years. So check it out.
Hey, welcome back to the show. It is my pleasure now to have my next guest on. He is a former Fox and Friends host, Clayton Morris, and we're going to talk to him about his new business. He's helping people achieve financial freedom. So my pleasure to bring him on. Clayton Morris, welcome to the Don Smith Show.
Hey, it's a real pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me on the show.
Well, thanks for taking your time here on this Saturday. I appreciate that. So I got to ask you this first, because there's probably a lot of people listening right now that maybe wondered what happened to Clayton Morris after he left the curvy couch. Tell us about your transition from Fox and Friends to your own business now.
Well, when you're working for somebody else, you're collecting a paycheck, even if it is as glamorous as sitting on the curvy couch, right? You're still working for somebody else. I had lost my job a number of years ago, and I said to myself, I am going to build something for myself. I'm going to build my own sort of safety net. And that's when I started investing in real estate. And I started buying single-family properties in the Midwest and different parts of the country, renovating them, placing tenants in them, and started to build that sort of monthly cash flow. And all along, I realized I'm really dialing into what it means to be financially free, not relying on a system that people sort of force feed us from childhood, that's the system that we need to be a part of: Social Security, a 401k, all of these things. And so while I was at Fox, I was buying properties, and I just got to a point after 10 years of being on the curvy couch, I just said, I don't necessarily want to wake up at 3 a.m. every morning. I never get to see my kids on the weekend. And maybe I should start to walk the walk, which is I'd achieved financial freedom. I was still kind of just doing that show because I loved the show, and I loved my co-host, and I loved our audience. But at some point I just said, okay, I'm 40 years old. You know what? I want to sleep in on a Saturday morning, and I want to be able to live the life that I want from now on. And that's why I decided to leave and write books and educate other people.
Well, absolutely. And great to have you here to talk about this. Let's talk about this a little bit, because you're talking about financial security. And so a lot of people look at their retirement plans and things like that. But one thing you caught my eye on your Facebook page, and that was that there is a problem coming with our retirement system and a lack of savings and other things like that. But talk a little bit about what's going on and what kind of things do you foresee in the future when it comes to retirement plans and all those types of things, especially Social Security.
Well, we are sitting right now on a cliff, and I hope, it's something I've been so passionate about. I mean, last night, literally, I woke up in the middle of the night thinking about this. I mean, maybe that's scary. I don't know. Maybe I've got something, a wire, a screw loose in my head. But I am really, really passionate about this, and I want everybody listening right now to know what we're facing on this retirement crisis. On a Social Security front, a 401k front, millennials being saddled with a massive amount of student loan debt. It's absolutely ridiculous. But let's just talk about Social Security. You reached out to me because we were talking about Social Security. And there's a huge problem right now in Social Security. And I don't think that most people really understand that over 90% of people are basically taking out their retirement benefits, their Social Security benefits early, therefore getting themselves a penalty in doing so. Now, you say, well, it's their money, they can do what they want. It's not really, it's part of a system, right? So you're sort of paying into the system that's taking care of people in the future, right? That's the idea of it. Well, by everyone taking them out early, the entire system is collapsing. And by people taking their money out early, they are also not maximizing their benefits that they would get if they would just keep it in there for longer. So people are saying they need this money out early. And that's really scary, that people are relying on a little system that was meant to literally just be a bit of a safety net. But people are relying on their entire savings around a system that's collapsing. So if you're listening right now and you're in 30s and 40s or 50s even, and you're thinking about, well, this is going to be the thing that's going to save me, is Social Security, you really have to get your head examined. Because that system is not long for this world, and it is not a way to truly build wealth into the future. And I try to teach people about building wealth not only for yourself, but for legacy for your family. And it is not because of money from the government. That is not how you build a long-term wealth strategy, relying on a system of wealth from the government. So Social Security is collapsing. That's just one piece of this retirement crisis that this country is facing right now.
Well, where would you say that? And I hear everything you're saying on Social Security, and I think this has been a long building, long coming situation here. We've shifted more to 401ks now, so we've got people now. So it's more of a little bit more voluntary. But it seems, Clayton, that there's a lot of people that don't even take advantage of the 401k, don't put into it. What are your thoughts about? Everybody thought that would just replace your normal retirement plan, but talk about that 401k, the lack of involvement in it, and what does that really mean for the future of America?
Look, if you're one of the few people that's lucky enough to have a company that will match your 401k contributions with free money from your company, hallelujah, you are in the minority. I think it makes up fewer than 7 or 6% right now of companies that do that. Very few companies do that. I was fortunate enough when I was at Fox that they did that. So I would maximize my contributions, I think up to about 6%. Beyond that, though, look, I wanted to make sure that I wasn't in a risky, volatile stock market. The problem with the 401k is that it's a system that was never meant to stand on its own. Herbert Whitehouse in 1981, who created it, thought it was a supplement as a pension plan. It was a supplement to a pension plan that you would have. The idea was you would also have a pension in addition to a 401k. That's who has a pension, right? And very few companies are doing a match program. It was meant as a way to get rid of pension plans. It was never meant to be a primary retirement tool. And the problem is that people think they blindly sort of get into 401k plans, and many companies now are making them on by default. When you start working for a company, they automatically default to you taking money out of these retirement plans and putting it into a 401k plan as a default. The problem is that people don't realize that these companies are making exorbitant money on the fees that they're charging you. I dare you to take a look at your retirement plan and check the amount in fees that you are paying to these custodians who are managing these plans for you. And I say, look, if you have a company plan that matches it, great. I would much rather have you take that money and put it into performing assets. Use some of that as a down payment on a rental property that you then use debt from a bank, using other people's money, and buying performing assets that monthly put cash flow in your pocket every month. That's how you build wealth. And I think the problem with the 401k plan is that it's been oversold. And these companies get all sort of federal incentives for making them automatic. I think we just sort of blindly walk into this stuff, Don, and it's really, really hurting people. So I am not a fan of the 401k. I know it's a contrarian point of view, but I really, really, really think we could do much better if we took money and our future into our own hands.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, let's talk about this a little bit, because I think and you've got a great new book, by the way, How to Pay Off Your Mortgage in 5 Years. Everybody go to ClaytonMorris.com. You can find out more about the things we're talking about here. But let's talk about this, because that is a huge part should be a huge part, at least, of your retirement plan, is owning at least your own home, if not maybe having other properties, as you're talking about, with some income coming in from that. But let's talk about owning your own home, because I think this is a big problem today as well, is you've got people taking out 30-year, I think you can go up to like 40-year now, mortgages on. You talk about how you can pay it off in 5 years. Talk a little bit about your book, How to Pay Off Your Mortgage in 5 Years.
Yeah, thanks for asking me about it. I mean, the book is really, to me, it's putting arrows in your quiver. It's teaching you to be financially intelligent. That's what I try to teach people on our YouTube channel, on our podcast, is learning, number one, what is in your mortgage. So we spent a few chapters dissecting what's in your mortgage. And once people understand that time and interest are your two biggest enemies when it comes to a mortgage. And so what we teach you in the book is to run headfirst into those two big enemies and how to tackle those things using different things that you have at your disposal. Look, most people don't realize that if they have a 401k plan, most people don't even realize that they can borrow from their 401k plan. Not withdraw. Now, I know you're going to get hate mail. How dare he say you do that? No, I'm telling you, Ask a number of people at Fox. Some of my favorite co-anchors I used to work with at Fox would use this as a strategy. Borrow from your 401k, okay? You pay it back out of your payroll over the course of however many years you choose, and use that big chunk of money that it belongs to you in order to funnel towards the primary balance of your mortgage. See, I'm also a contrarian, Don. I really believe that owning the house you live in is one of the biggest liabilities you have. And so what I'm trying to teach people to do is, if you have that house, how do we turn that into a performing asset? How do we pay down that mortgage as quickly as possible, using the equity in that house perhaps to buy performing assets that are monthly putting cash flow in your pocket? So imagine owning a $45,000, $60,000 rental property that produces $700 a month in cash flow for you every month. And you've taken that from your 401k, you've used equity in the home that you live in, which is not a performing asset, it's taking money out of your pocket, and that's what we teach you to do in the book. So, you might get some angry people right now, but I'm telling you, if you start to take control of your finances in this way, and you start to think about the system that we've been lied to with for so many years, we've been lied to, and turn it on its head, I think people could really start to see some major changes in their life.
Well, yeah, and I think you make a great point with that, Clayton, because if you look at it, it's your money, and right now you're paying somebody to handle your money and to make your money work for you. You can make that money work for yourself in either an interest-free or a low-interest environment. So it's a great opportunity. But let me ask you this: we recently had a major tax cut put into place. Now there's a lot of talk out there about how it's only for rich people and this and that. That's not really true, and I think you kind of touch on that a little bit. How does this new tax cuts that we saw recently pass here, how does that impact all of this?
Well, it impacts it in a dramatic way. Look, I get so infuriated when people say that these tax cuts are for the wealthy. You have to understand, not you, I know you understand this, but the tax code in this country is written for you to partner with the government. Most of the tax code, only a few pages of the tax code actually require you to send money to the government. Most of the tax code is written as a series of incentives for you to partner with the government to build this economy. That is, build a solar farm, build wind, energy, production of energy, build houses for affordable housing, build houses for people to live in, build commercial spaces, partner with the government. The government incentivizes this. And I know that it might irk some people, but it is absolutely true. And so this new round of tax cuts, this new round of the new tax code, it's kind of infuriating. There are a lot of wealth advisors out there. There are a lot of CPAs who are failing their clients. I just spoke to a good friend of mine, one of the top CPAs in the world, Tom Wheelwright, one of the smartest tax minds in the world. He says, you wouldn't believe how many tax returns we've had to help fix as a result of CPAs not knowing some of the new rules. Like the 20% pass-through deduction for passive income. All these little things for businesses that you can accelerate depreciation on properties that you own in a much different way than you could before. All of these additional benefits that are now there as incentives for you to help build and grow the economy. Opportunity zone investing in different cities where you can have entire regions that were once dilapidated, depleted, being built up with jobs and new condominiums and even affordable housing projects that are going in. We are in an affordable housing crisis in this country. And so I think a lot of this new tax code really helps incentivize that. Are there problems with it? Sure. It's not perfect, but if people stop seeing it as an enemy and start saying, look, this is the tennis court that we have, right? This is the one that's been built. Are you going to go play on one that doesn't exist and has rocks and pebbles and boulders in the way? Well, guess what? That's not reality. The reality is Congress, the president built a tennis court, and that is where we have to go play. You want to cry about it? Go cry about it. But this is the tennis court. I'm going to play on that tennis court because it's a series of incentives to build wealth in this country.
Yeah, and I think the average American they can make up their own mind whether it's for the rich. It's only for the rich if you don't sit here and take advantage of what these cuts are and how they were put in place and how you can make them work for you. Let me give you this opportunity. I think a lot of ears probably perked up when we talked about how to pay off your mortgage in 5 years, but you also have a podcast. You get an opportunity here to work with your lovely wife, and I imagine that's a great change for you as well. Where can my listeners go to find out more? Where can they get the book? Where can they find the podcast? And where can they find out more about what you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, if you love audio, you're listening to this show right now, and just over on Apple Podcasts. It's a really generic, boring name of a show, but no one will forget it. It's just called the Investing in Real Estate Podcast with Clayton Morris. Super generic name, but you won't forget it. And then we've got a YouTube channel. We just hit 125,000 subscribers, and we got a great audience over there. It's just Morris, my last name Morris, Invest. And we do a whole bunch of series of videos on why I think going to college is a bad idea right now if you're going to go into debt, how to pay off your mortgage in 5 years, and overall just how to build wealth and build financial intelligence so you can ultimately build financial freedom. We're up against these massive advertisers, that try to keep us in this system, and I try to teach you kind of how to break out of that. That's the goal.
Well, this is all great stuff. ClaytonMorris.com, everybody. Go check it out. Clayton, thank you so much for your time today on Saturday here. It's a Saturday. I know you want to get back with your kids now. I'd love to talk more about this in the future. So have a great weekend, and I'll look forward to maybe talking to you again.
Absolutely. Anytime. Thank you so much for having me on, and have a great Saturday.
All right, you do the same. Clayton Morris, everybody. Check out ClaytonMorris.com.
We're going to be doing a lot more of these interviews. Super excited about it. And also, if you're new here, please hit the subscribe button and share this with someone you care about. And also, check out this other video that we just did on the retirement crisis. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time, everyone. Now go out there, take action, become a real estate investor. I believe it's the #1 way to build wealth. See you next time.